Hi, my name is Tina von Hatten from Meaningful Explorations. I'm a busy homeschooling mom with 8 kids from 11 months all the way to graduated and in college. And I've been homeschooling since 2007, since my oldest was grade 1/2 after we immigrated here from Germany. Tried it all. We've tried every curriculum that's out there, well, feels like it. And we've kind of settled into our own little thing. We're an unschooling, life schooling family who goes on rabbit trails all the time. If somebody's interested in something, we'll grab that idea and we'll run with it. And so I've had a hard time finding the right planner. And so this year, this is the second year I've invented my own planner because I needed something that worked for us. Before that, I was bullet journaling, but we had a baby last summer. So yeah, I don't have time to set up the bullet journal. So this year I invented our own little homeschool planner that works specifically for unschooling, eclectic homeschoolers who like to run with rabbit trails and like to do all kinds of fun things, plan week by week. And we also reverse bullet journal. So if you've never heard of that bullet journaling or reverse bullet journaling before, don't worry, it's not that big of a deal. So I used to bullet journal. This was my homeschool bullet journal a few years ago, and it is like lots of little boxes, and I use stickers and all kinds of things. So I would set it up so that I had an overview of the month. So for example here, I didn't set very many goals, and I don't always get everything recorded like I like to, but the idea is to stay really organized. But I have a hard time sticking with one curriculum. Sorry, I've got kids in the background there. Sorry about that. Anyway, I've got lots of ideas and lots of things that we like to do. So what I would do is I plan our group subjects, and I call those morning basket or morning time, and I put those in here and I would color them in as we went along. And on the other days, I just wrote in, each kid is color coordinated. So the youngest one was kindergarten. He didn't have much to do. And the older kids, I would write down what they actually did do. Instead of writing all the things out and checking all the boxes, I would just write in what we finished. That way, my ego didn't fall apart, because I would fall apart before. I would fill in all the little things, spread out the curriculum over the whole year, and then I'd find, oh no, my kid can't do this anymore. Stop, rub it all out, rewrite the things with the new curriculum. And yeah, if you've been there, done that, you know what I'm talking about. It's awful. So the Homeschool Organizer and Bullet Journal was born. Now this is available as a PDF on my blog, as well as in the Amazon shop, bound, not spiral bound like this, and it is fully colored. I had mine printed at Staples, but I printed it out in black and white, which actually I'm surprised. It turned out really pretty, despite the fact that it's black and white. So let me give you a close-up of what's inside. So here it is. So I got mine done, like my printed out, at Staples. Now, I know there are other places you can get them printed out. We here in Canada don't have a lot of options unless you have like a local print shop that does a really great deal. So I just find that Staples is the place that I tend to go for this kind of printing. They give you, when you get it spiral bound here, they give you a clear sheet on the front, and then I opted for thicker cardstock here. And then I have, for the front page, I opted for that to be in color. So you can see some of the colors. These would be carried out throughout, but I printed the rest in black and white. Then you have here an index. So I never got around to doing mine in the bullet journal. I never went back to see what pages. So I put page numbers in for you, and so that if you're quickly looking, where am I going to find our homeschool prayer or my book and supply list, you'll find you just have to flip through to those pages. So that's a really neat feature that I'm really excited about this year. And then we have our, starting in July, our 2020-2021 calendar, and it's laid out for the whole year. And these are some of my favorite pages because I get to dream and talk to my husband and the kids and see what we're kind of going to do. I know this year with the pandemic and all that kind of thing, we haven't been able to get out and do some of the things that we had planned last year. So I like to use the future log to plan in maybe some field trips, or if there's a wedding in the family or something that I know that's coming up that we're going to go to, a family reunion, for example. We have one in August this year, and you just write that in. So that's kind of just an overview of the whole year. And then I like to set yearly goals for the family. So we might pick out, for example, for faith formation character, we may want to memorize some prayers or some Bible verses. If you're not someone who does that kind of thing, you don't do the Bible stuff or whatever, that's fine. You could maybe look at doing some character things. What are some things that you want to work on with your child? Maybe some habits, some things that they need some work on. And then I like to make some academic goals. So this could be, for example, depending on the age group of your kids, but if you have like more little, like I kind of group mine, I have some bigger kids and some littler kids. So the littler kids, we might memorize the continents, or we might memorize all the countries in Africa, or something like that. Like we'll find some really fun academic goals that we'll want to meet. Some field trips, again, we'll look at some things that we might be interested in. I know we've been saying we're going to the dinosaur museum for years now. We just haven't made it happen. Now that, baby's not a tiny little baby anymore, he still doesn't like car rides, but beside the point, maybe we can get the dinosaur museum done this year. And enrichment would be things like, let's add in poetry tea, or maybe we're gonna do some drama lessons, or some fun things that we didn't normally do before that we want to add to the homeschool. Then I like to look at a yearly overview month by month. So this is a bit more space than the future log. So these are some things that I might break down. Okay, this month we might work on perseverance, and we might go and do something, I don't know, that I haven't really planned mine yet. I was so busy getting the planner done, I haven't really thought about what we're gonna do when. And then I'll look at when my husband has holidays. He always has to put his in early, and then we'll have spread out over the whole year. Usually in February or March, there's some conferences starting, and then we'll put some of those things in there and this doesn't have to all be filled out at the beginning of the year. Then we move on to our rule of 6. Now, this is a concept that I didn't invent. It was one that I had done a masterclass, I think, with Sarah Mackenzie from the Read Aloud Revival, and showed how to make a rule of 6, because I never really could figure out our motto. It was always changing, but the rule of 6 is kind of like your why am I homeschooling? So when you have like a really bad day, week, or even month, or February, you know why you're homeschooling. So what are 6 things that you can pick out that are the foundation of why you homeschool? Now, the 3 I mentioned at the beginning of the video, pursue, encounter, and explore, were part of my rule of 6. Pursue excellence. So always work to strive to do your best. Encounter beauty, whether that is in nature or in poetry, in art, in science. We can encounter beauty anywhere. And that was really important to me, that homeschool isn't just a bunch of workbooks. And the last one was explore. So that can be research. It can be going on nature walks and finding what we can find, finding out all the things that we are called to learn about, or what our heart's desires. So those are 3 of our rule of 6. So if you, again, I think there's also a blog post by Melissa Wiley that I read a while back. If I can find it, I will put it in there, and how she came up with her rule of 5 or rule of 6. And I don't know if membership is open for Read Aloud Revival, but that, if you're really interested in that, I can go into that in another video. So just leave a comment below if you want more explanation about the rule of 6. Then I have a prayer to start our homeschool day. This is actually the prayer that our homeschool umbrella school uses before they start all their classes. My kids have to learn it anyway for the beginning of every class, and it's just inspired, like, let the Holy Spirit come and inspire us so that we are open to learning all the things that our Lord is asking us to learn. Again, if you're not Christian, just, you don't need to do that. But I think it's a really nice prayer. And our homeschool, like, not everybody's Catholic, some are Christian, some are Mormon, some are atheist. It doesn't matter. It's just what's at the beginning of our classes, regardless. The next thing, this is the first year I put this in here, filling my cup. Somebody on Facebook will say, oh, did you read this book? There's this book out there and it just came out. And so I'll just write that down there so that I can remember to go into Amazon or into a bookshop and find that book, and if it sounds like something I would like to read. Some of my favorite supplies, I like to keep track of some of those things. Like I have, for example, I love my stickers. I like to add stickers to my journals, and some other things are my Sharpie pens and my other markers here. I just have my favorite supplies. Then I have here a really, a psalm that I really like. And then I left this open. Sometimes there's different things that I like to keep track of, or important numbers, depending, I've had years where I was pregnant while homeschooling and other years where there's other things going on, and I just left that kind of open. You can use that however you'd like. The next page is pretty self-explanatory, some contact numbers. I like to have this because I'll always have it in my bag with me if we're out and we're going to any homeschool related things. I like to have these things with me just in case. And I know everybody stores phone numbers in their phones and stuff like that. So if you don't do that, that's fine. But sometimes we'll be at a homeschool thing and somebody say, yeah, here's my phone number. And I'm not techie with my phone. That's why I have teenagers. They can show me how to do all the things. So I'll just write down things and somebody will say it. And it's sometimes if they write it out, it's easier for me. I won't misspell it. Again, here I really liked this page. I don't know where I got the idea for this one, but the websites and username passwords. I use Homeschool Buyers Co-op. I use a few other websites, and then each of the children has their own password. So I like to keep track of all of those, and I'll just transfer those from my old journal into the new one. Sometimes we get new ones, and then I have somewhere to keep track of that. Another one was important notes and numbers. Again, just other things that I like to keep down, like our homeschool supply store or things like that. Here I'm going to brainstorm some field trip ideas that we have, and this is a great page for you to just, get some ideas down. These two pages are for books and supplies. Again, that's self-explanatory. I have a really hard time remembering when I go into a store the printer number. So let's say I ordered on Amazon and it remembers what I ordered. But if not, I like to write down our printer ink cartridge numbers. That way I can just pick one up if I see one on sale. And this is our yearly morning basket resources. Now, that's kind of a broad term for group subjects. So depending on what subject it is, what resource, where to find it. It could be the library, it could be from the friend, it could be from our own home library. And these are just a place here to brainstorm some ideas, some things that my kids always say, I want to learn about robotics, or I want to learn how to code, or I want to learn how to, you name it. They'll come up with something. So this page is set up for your student, your first student. And now there's 4 sets of these. I have this planner set up for 4 students. Even though I have 8 children, I've never had more than 4 in school at once. Oh, no, that's not true. I had 5, but my older students had a lot of their courses online, so I didn't plan it in my planner. They had that for themselves separately, but I did have a grade tracker page and a page like this for each kid. Then again, it's up to you. But like I said, I have one of these for each of my students. So this planner holds for 4. If there's, interest for more, I can see what I can do. So I write in here the grade, the child's name. And now this helps me plan their curriculum. Like I said, we are very eclectic. We're unschooling, life schooling. We kind of go with the flow, but we do make sure that every child does language arts and math, and all the rest we fill in through all of the different avenues that we come by. So I will set goals I'll sit down with each child and we'll set some goals. Now for the younger children, it might be learning how to tie their shoes, learning how to count to 100. There's all kinds of things. You can set different goals. They can be academic. They could be learning how to come right away instead of dawdling and doing other things. Achievements, I like to keep track of some of these things too. Like, for example, when they finish a math book, or when, last year my son got his license, we wrote that down there, or an online class got a really good mark, or was awarded because of an essay, or one child entered a short story in to have published. So those kinds of things go in there. Then I have here, I always look at their strengths and their weaknesses when I choose their curriculum. So this is partially because, sorry, I can't talk today. This is partially because when we file for our children to homeschool, we have to include this in their education program plan, or I think it's encouraged to have it in there. And so that we have a goal where we're starting and where we want to end up. Now, this will look different if your child is 6 years old as opposed to 12 or 13 years old. So again, I like to have this here. I think it's a great way to look at how to choose curriculum, because different children will have different needs. And then I write down some of the curriculum and activities. So whether it'll be, a sports class, whether, what math, what language arts, some of the different things that are available. If they're really into like science, we might do some apologia stuff, or we might get a unit study, depending on what we come up with. And then on this side, I just keep track. This is more for the older grades, and this is more because portfolio. Some people have to keep track of grades. Depending on where you homeschool, you may or may not need this page at all. But I like to keep this because we have a facilitator come to visit us twice a year, and I like to have that on hand to show them. Now, like I said, this is for 4 students. And then we come to the monthly spread. So at the beginning of every month, there's a calendar, and this is how I like to set out my bullet journal. So if you're a bullet journaler, this is a very typical layout. So we'll have the days and the numbers, the day of the month. And then I like to write in here, for example, here in Canada, July 1st would be Canada Day, and I'd write that there. And I'd write down any appointments, any commitments we have, and those will be written in there. So I have an overview. This is what's going on this month. Then I'd like to do some to-dos. This month we have to do X, Y, Z. Whatever is on the plate, whatever, like I said, we're life schoolers, life happens, that goes in here. These are goals, so we'll set some goals. Let's get done, whether it's, we're kind of thinking about getting some meat rabbits. So it might be building the rabbit hutch and sourcing some rabbits. And then we look at next month. What would next month be on it? So it might be somebody's birthday. It might be going a certain place. It might be one of our field trips that we've planned. Or it might be a wedding. It might be, you name it. It could be anything. And that's how, every month is set up like this. And then I have the monthly morning basket or group subjects broken down here. So again, pursue excellence, accountability, explore. You see that there. And then this is where I brainstorm. And I'll look at what books we're going to be using, what supplies we need, what we're going to be focusing on, and maybe a memory verse, and here for the theme. So it might be gardening, for example. And then I'll get some books, some supplies, and then we'll do some things. We might memorize some verses, and then I have the weekly. So these 2 pages you'll see over and over and over. So each week is on its own. So for the weekly spread, this is what we're going to do this week. So this will be for the month. This will be the week. And then we also do exploring nature with children. This is our science nature curriculum. So I don't know if you've heard of it or anything, but I can leave a link below. I'm not affiliated or anything. We just really like this curriculum. It spreads the year into weekly themes. So this week, for example, is Blossom Week. And then I would write down some of this is July, so I won't write it in here, but you get the idea. So it's Blossom Week this week. Some of the books that they suggest are ones that I might have from the library or in my own library. And then a little space to write some highlights from our nature walk. And then we also are trying to do the 1,000 hours outside now. I lost track. We were keeping track until the pandemic happened. And then, actually, I think it was even a little bit before that, we had some really, really like minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees Celsius weather. And then we stopped going outside for a few days because it was just too cold. and then we never got in the habit of writing it down again. So this year I want to have a spot here. So I encourage you to get outside with the kids as many hours as possible. And so if you want to keep track, I'll leave a link to the 1,000 Hours Outside. It's awesome. They have lots of great ideas on how to get your kids outside and how good it is for them. So that's where this is here. And then some important things, like there might be a doctor's appointment, there might be something coming up that we need to remember. And then I have this set up like this. Now, this is not a lot of space, I know, but this is for reverse bullet journaling. So you'll write your student's name. I like to color coordinate it. I'll take a different color marker for each kid or a pen. And then on Monday, I'll write down what they read, what they did in math, what they did in language arts. If they were doing some engineering stuff, like they were building some really neat things with Legos, I'll write that down in there. If they read some science stuff or watched Magic School Bus, I'll write it down in there. And then I'll do this for each child. And so that's how I keep track. I don't write lists and lists. They have a little notebook. I'll write down the things and they can check off the boxes. Like I have a chart that they use and they check all the things off, but I'll write down what they did. So if they did explode the code, or if they did, you get the idea, the typing, or we have certain things that we do every day, and then the rest is kind of just fun stuff, and that's in the group subjects. So that's how the planner is set up. It's exactly the same. So I've got the days of the week, so you'll know what day it is. It's hard to keep track these days. And then again, we have August, same setup. It's exactly the same for every month of the year. So at the beginning, you've got your morning basket things, and then you've got the weekly spread. So that's how it all is. And at the back of my planner, I have some extra things. This is the end. It goes until the end of June next year. And then I like to keep track of the books we read, especially as a family. So I tried keeping track in an extra book, like a read aloud book, but it was just an extra book. So I like to keep track in our book, my same planner. So I'll just write down the book title, the author, and if we liked it or not, or if there was a quote that we thought was especially funny, or something that happened that was really, really funny. Sometimes I'll read something. I remember reading The Door in the Wall, and my kid just burst out laughing because of something I said, and I didn't even think it was that funny, but he did. So I would write that kind of thing in there as a memory. And there's 4 pages of that, and then a couple extra pages of notes, and that's it. It is very simple, very easy to use, and it's the same format I've been using now for a couple of years. Keep tweaking it. If you have any comments or any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you have any requests, because I have some of the pages available on my blog for free, so you can, from last year's, with a newer, I updated in January, so it has a 2021 calendar in it, and the future log, some different graphics. I uploaded some new, got some new graphics this year. And if you're interested in any more of the printables, I've got lots of free printables in my library. We are very eclectic, so there's lots of all kinds of different things on the blog. So be sure to check that out at meaningfulexplorations.com. And if you're interested in this kind of, reviews or anything like that, let me know what you want to see, and I will do my best to do it, or reviews of some certain curriculum, because like I said, we've been around for a long time. We've tried lots of things, and I want to help you guys out, making the homeschool the best, this best possible year ever, because honestly, 2020 has been so far pretty much a write-off. So let's finish strong. And let's carry on, and let's teach our kids and make great memories. See you next time.